How many of you have wanted to purchase a guitar but been so overwhelmed by the massive amount of models out there and makes that it's just too overwhelming? And you either buying one that you regret or you just throw in the towel and give up on your search completely. Don't let those guys at Guitar Center sell you a piece of junk just so they can make more commission, because they will. Learn how to tell a good sixth string for yourself. Today we will discover what makes a quality guitar by discussing what features indicate quality craftsmanship. I've been playing guitar for about 8 or 9 years and have bought, sold, and played many different models from many different manufacturers. I've also been doing additional research the past couple weeks, including a conversation with a good friend of mine, Eric Ward, who works in the product inspection department at the Fender factory in Corona. This topic does relate to all of us because we all buy imported goods. From the furniture we buy to the clothes we wear. I mean, this shirt was made in Indonesia, and so were these shoes probably, and my pants were probably made in Mexico or Korea or something like that. So it's always good to approach the things we buy critically, thinking critically, so we get our money's worth. Today I'll be discussing two main parts of the guitar, the body and the neck, and certain parts in them that indicate quality. First we'll talk about the neck of the guitar. The first key factor in deciding if a guitar is worth buying or not is the truss rod. And a truss rod is a threaded rod that runs through the length of the neck and can be adjusted either down here on this guitar, it's kind of hard to see inside the body, or up here on the headstock. A lot of electric guitars are adjusted that way. And basically, as the guitar comes in contact with different temperatures and humidities, the wood will bend or twist or warp a little bit. And having a truss rod in the guitar allows the owner or the person working on it to adjust that so it doesn't get too drastic and the guitar becomes unplayable. The next part we want to look at are the inlays inside the guitar. And the inlays are just what their names describe. They are inlaid into the fretboard of the guitar, this top part of the neck here. And with a lot of guitar companies shipping their guitars overseas to be assembled and importing them back in, this craftsmanship has gone down in the inlays significantly. And a lot of times what will happen is they'll make the little inlay pieces, which are often made of plastic, and on nicer guitars, like a piece of abalone seashell. And they'll make the piece too small, and what the manufacturer will try to do is fill in the gaps with glue. And not only does this look really crappy, like when you take a closer look at it, but it is a good sign indicating that there's other parts of the guitar that probably aren't made with the greatest care. Alright, so now we'll move on to the body of the guitar. The first thing that we're going to need to look at is any warping or dings in the wood itself. As a lot of guitars come from thousands of miles from Japan, Korea, or Mexico, they travel by air, sea, and road. They come in contact again with a lot of different temperature and humidity differences, which can cause wood to warp. Wood isn't a very super durable material. So on acoustic guitars, what you want to look for is like a slight curve on the top of it, and a little more drastic curve on the back, depending on the make and model. And any dings, obviously, are a very good indication that the guitar's been dropped somewhere along the way, and purchasing that should be avoided at all costs. And the last thing we want to look at on the body is the binding. The binding is this trim here you see on the side. Most guitars have some form of it, and it is important in doing what the name suggests in binding the guitar together. It does not do all of the binding, but it does do some. And just as we inspected the inlays, we want to take that same technique to the binding and looking and seeing if there's any glue being filling in some gaps, or any separation in the binding is bad, and not only looks bad, but it can contribute to sound quality and it is a good indication that other parts of the guitar are made poorly as well. One thing that I do want to say about overall guitar quality and the way manufacturers handle their goods, in my discussion with my friend Eric that works at the Fender factory, he was telling me how a lot of guitar companies, and including Fender, do this to where they make a lot of guitars at one time. Fender's actually outputting about 200 more guitars a day than they need to because they're anticipating certain levels of demand about a year and a half from now, and they've been doing this for years. So the guitars that you're actually seeing in our music shops and Guitar Center or whatever are about a year and a half old, and they've just been sitting in a supply room for about that amount of time. And so it is really important to take a closer look and make sure there's no warping in the woods, because that could very easily happen in a if it's been sitting in a storage room for that long. And again, these things are applicable to all of us because, I mean, for instance, IKEA is filled with furniture that's imported from all over the world, and much of the clothes, again, that we buy are imported, and it's good to have a critical thinking mind when buying things so we can get our money's worth. All right, now through inspecting the neck, the body, and the body of the guitar, we can now be able to tell if a guitar we're thinking about buying is worth purchasing. The red flags to look for are warping in the wood, excess glue, separation in bindings, or inlays that are a little bit too small. I hope I have given you some inside knowledge into the guitar world, and I hope I will aid you in purchasing a guitar for yourself or for someone else in the future. So rock on, and when it comes to buying your axe, think smart and choose wisely. Greg, your smile is killing me. What? Yeah, it's distracting.
Crystal, what did you think?
I like how he brought his guitar to demonstrate some of the things that he was explaining. I like how he was able to, like, I guess he knew his stuff. But I don't know what else to say. I didn't think it was that bad.
Well, you don't have to say bad things about the speech. That's not what we're looking for. I mean, if there's something that he could do better, that's good.
I
But
never really knew stuff about the guitar unless I watch it on TV and I have to look it up on Discovery Channel or something. So he actually knew his stuff. So I kind of was getting negative.
was it easy to follow? Was it structured well?
I thought it was, like I said, I was able to understand it and listen to what he has to say. So I thought he's presented it very well. Good job.
Okay, well, I think the presentation, there are two things about it that are kind of interesting parallels. You've got a very good, even though you're having a problem with your voice, I think you have a very good, confident manner while you're speaking. You're very fluent while you're presenting to the audience. I think you convey with all of that, that you're knowledgeable about the subject and you feel confident about it, and also that you're enthusiastic about the subject, which I think makes it easier for an audience to give you credibility and feel comfortable with what you're saying. On the opposite side of it, you do have a tendency to kind of talk to your guitar. Sometimes, you angle the body. Whenever it's not in your hands and it's back in the case, you tend to direct your body over that direction while you're speaking. So you're kind of turning and because you're making a reference to it, and I know that, but in your head you're making the reference to it, but you're not really telling us anything. It's just, I know that you're kind of relating to it because it's right there. Now, let me talk about the guitar, and it's there, but you need to remember that you're talking to us. That's a slight negative thing. Don't worry too much about that. It's probably not going to happen. If you're not using visual materials, you won't have that issue again. Just want you to be aware of it.